Coach, on the play action pass where Justin and Mooney couldn't quite connect from past game, kind of just looked like
The deep throw you're talking about, the one that was deep, yeah.
Without knowing the play, kind of like Justin missed, but Justin kind of explained some of the intricacies of what was going on. What's the coaching point on that? How did they connect?
Yeah, Mooney didn't have great detail with the route. Where the landmark where you're trying to hit that thing was way off to from where he was. Justin could have helped him by throwing him over to that point. So that part of it, the two of them, just not executing that necessarily at the highest level right there. But something that, we took it, we learned from it, we studied it a bunch this week and make sure everyone's on the same page, not just Mooney, but for whoever else might be in that situation the next time.
By being able to place a ball in a certain spot, like when you're talking about you could have thrown him over a certain way, how do you teach a quarterback to be confident throwing guys open and just knowing that, like, he may look covered right now, but if you throw him to that spot, he'll get there?
Yeah, I mean, that particular type of situation is something that you can do that. You can't always do that. So, like, that's you're trying to take a shot down the field and, you feel like you have the defense kind of in a situation where you can handle things like the backside. We kind of handled the backside pretty well, so that's why we were taking the shot to where we were. But that comes with both guys, right? That's Mooney giving him triggers to let him know the angles that he's going to set on, and then that's Justin getting the experience of throwing that ball so that the receiver knows, okay, this is how I need to respond whenever he throws it the way. So those are experiences. We've done that play a bunch against our defense, but our defense presents a much different experience when you run that play. So sometimes that affects you. But we got to do a better job of coaching it up to make sure that they're on the same page and they're in where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there.
Luke, on a 3rd and 2, right before the field goal, what misfired there? What caused the timing disruption there?
What was that right there? No, that was just a simple check with me type of play, 2 different plays, and we were trying to get to the next play. You can see Justin moving up to make that happen, and we snapped the ball, and so we lost that play. That's just that's on us not executing what we're supposed to be doing.
When you have a handful of things in a game that just need like a little bit of tightening, how do you figure out where to go first and how to get it all sort of shored up quickly?
No, that's part of this process. We talked about it with the way we approach our walkthroughs, the way we approach our practice. Like, we got to approach it like those are the game situations so that the details feel easier when you get to the game. And that's again those experiences together. And I didn't see him live, but you can see the other side had a couple of those same type of experiences. It's early in the year, and we just got to make sure that we eliminate those as we move forward.
Justin Fields did say that the game plan called for you guys to run and ram it down their throats in that regard, but why the lack of passing attempts?
We only had 42 plays, called 19 or 20 passes, so that was pretty spot on to how we wanted to play that game. I think what it was the total attempts, it's a little while ago, was it 11 or 12 total attempts? But like his touchdown was a pass play that he took and made something happen. The play right before the 4th and 1 was a pass play that he took and ran, so I think it's part of it that I know that, it's the NFL, everyone's throwing it 30, 40 times a game, but we only had 42 snaps. And when you run the ball the way that we did, I think you have to make sure you're running the ball too. So that's part of it. And it's our job, as each week as we evaluate the opponent, what gives us the best chance to succeed and where are our matchups favorable to us. And obviously last week we felt like, there was parts of the run game that we felt like we had a pretty good matchup, and we were able to get 7 explosives. That's a lot of explosives in the run game.
In the 4th quarter, when you marched down the field without the benefit of a completed pass, when the other side is very happy to watch the clock run, how do you balance whether you're hurting yourself or helping yourself with all those runs?
Yeah, no, I don't. Again, if we punch that in and you're down 7, I don't think anybody, I think we're saying we did what we're supposed to do, right? And that's kind of how it goes. But you're just trying to take advantage of what the defense presents to you. If you try to force something against what they're presenting to you, that's when bad things happen, right? And so, you saw that on the where Preston got the sack when we called the keeper, right? Called the play, they changed their defensive personnel, got us, right? And it was a bad call, and then we didn't get out of it. Like, that's on me. That sack's on me. And so Unfortunately, that was really the only time of the game that they got us that way. But those are the things you got to avoid. You can't just call plays just to call them. They present a lot of problems with the way that they had personnels and stuff, and so our guys did a really good job most of the night handling all that stuff.
So are you saying that they were almost more concerned with your passing game than your running game in terms of what they presented to you?
Well, yeah, and I mean, you saw the way that their defensive ends just run up the field last week. I mean, that was their plan, that they weren't going to let him get outside the pocket, you know. And the personnel that they had in the previous play before that, we had the explosive run on, that defense, they do let you have the edge. And so we hopped on the ball and tried to get it. For whatever reason, I think we subbed Mooney in, so the referee had to stop the play, and then they subbed their other personnel in, and so that's where we just got stuck. And that's again, like I said, that's on me for not having Justin ready to go to get a better play in that situation. That's on me.
If you had 4th and 1 to do over again, are you going quarterback power, or are you ending it off?
No, we love that play. No, we didn't execute it properly. We for whatever reason, we kind of saw something. We were seeing a little ghost a little bit up front, so they were able to get penetration where we should have had 2 linemen on 1 to stop that penetration, which kind of got Lucas off a little bit instead of cleaning that gap. And then it would have just been Lucas with 59 in the hole, and then Justin, you know, still would have had to run through some contact. But no, we knew that was our plan. We talked about it all week. We went over every front that they present, and we had plenty of time. There was like a stoppage and play for the replay, right? And we knew what was coming, and that was exactly what we wanted. We just didn't execute it well enough, and again, we got to get them coached up a little bit better so that they don't make that mistake.
Luke, you mentioned that the game flew on Sunday, obviously the weather in the opener, but Justin's only thrown 28 passes so far. Where's your confidence in a game where Justin does throw the ball 28 times, and, you know, the passing game is what you're really relying on?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, whatever the defense presents to us, that's what we got to be able to do, and I believe we can do that. So each week, different personalities on defensive coordinators present different things. Right, last week I was around it for a long time. They build that shell and they don't let you get behind them. Right, we were able to get behind them, and that's where we got to take advantage of those couple of opportunities that we did have. We didn't execute in those situations and take advantage of those certain opportunities. When you play those types of styles of defenses, like, you're not getting many shots, so you better hit it when you can, and we didn't do that, so we got to do a better job of that.
It seems like there were times in that game where Justin did a good job of climbing the pocket, and then for whatever reason just didn't rip the ball, didn't get rid of it. How do you coach that out of him?
I mean, yeah, that's, again, we've talked about it in here. The experiences that you have of seeing the defense and slowing the game down is, you know, we can't create that for him other than practicing every day, like it's a game, and then him getting these experiences. He really only had 2 third downs that I just, you know, wish that he would have. Other than that, I thought he did a pretty nice job most of the night. But those come with the experience, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets it to do it this weekend.
Coach Curry had 13 snaps on Sunday. He guys had 110 yards and a touchdown on those 13 snaps. What do you like about what he brings, and would you like to get him on the field more often?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a heck of a player for us. We love having him, and yeah, I think that's what happened in that game, right? And we kind of went that way as the second half kind of rolled along, and we got to avoid the 3 and outs. That's probably as much as anything. In the second quarter there, we have 2 or 3 and outs or whatever it was. Those were the kind of the crusher, right? Because we scored, took the lead. They went down and they matched us, and then we didn't go match them again. We went 3 and out, and so that was a tough one for us. And so we just didn't get a lot of ops. What do we have? 17 plays in the first half, something crazy like that. And so, you know, the more ops you get, it's just like we're talking about how many pass attempts, right? Same thing. You we try to balance the game out so the guys don't have to play 45 plays a game or something like that. And so our percentages as far as how much people are playing is probably pretty spot on for what we set out to do anyway last week.
So Luke, your first game as a coordinator was in a month. Your second game had 11 pass attempts. For the people who are just getting to know you, do you look at those 2 games as indicative of the way you want to play? You said last week if it were up to you, you'd throw a lot.
Yeah. No, I truly, I love to throw because I'm a quarterback guy, right? But I truly believe in evaluating the matchups each week and saying, okay, here's where we have the advantages, here's where our disadvantages are. You have to look at the opponent and say, okay, here's where you have to take advantage of them, here's where you have to stay away from. And so I think that, to me, that's what I want to be. Whatever that means, I don't know what that means. If it's 50 throws, 50 runs, I don't really care. It's about winning. It's about giving us the best chance to win. And, like I said, usually the style of defense will dictate that.
So Luke, in the context,
I wanted to ask you about the play that Brad brought earlier where Fields is in shotgun at goal-to-go situation.
Okay.
So whenever that happens and it doesn't work, people are always like, oh my God, you only had inches. Why are you lining up in shotgun?
Sure.
But a bunch of teams do that. And I looked up the success rates, and there's actually a higher success rate from shotgun than under center in those situations for a quarterback run. So can you tell me, what do people misunderstand about that? And what is the advantage of lining up at shotgun with just 1 yard or less to go?
Yeah, no, I think it's the defense. It's defensive driven. So when you do your study and your research, and you say, as soon as the guy goes under center, you're going to get presented these things. It's funny. We did an off-season study of QB sneaks, and there's certain defenses that you try to stay away from, and then but it presents really good other opportunities, and that's what this we felt like was as well. Whether it's situations often dictate that kind of stuff more than necessarily just a pure statistic, I think. And again, that's us. We did our research. We evaluated what they were going to present to us, and we thought that was the best opportunity for us to score when we had that defense presented to us. And so we evaluated it. We even looked back afterward, and we still feel good about what we decided. We just got to make sure that we coach it better so that we execute it, so we don't have to answer this question.
so Luke, in the context of the process of this offense, step-by-step incremental progress based on that, not huge leaps.
Sure.
How do you evaluate the performance against the Packer,
Yeah, I mean, this is the coolest part about what I saw this past week. You saw a team come out prepared, execute, score. Okay? Now, then we went 3 and out, I think 3 times in a row, And then we come out in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and we have to go, how far was that, 90 yards? And they just, there was just no, it didn't even matter. It was about just playing and getting better and fighting their butts off. And so that was, to me, so impressive how they stuck together. I mean, I've been on a lot of sidelines where when you go 3 and out that many times in a row, things get weird, right? But those guys were tough, and they stuck together, and it was about how can we get better the next play and how we're ready to roll. So I think we got the right kind of men in that room, and so I'm excited to see what's next for these guys.
We saw Lucas Patrick without a cast on. He was snapping the ball yesterday. Where is he at in his progress, and where do you feel most comfortable giving him a permanent spot in the line, or?
Yeah, no, we're in the middle of figuring that out for sure. And so yesterday was the first time, and so he'll do it again today, experience that again, and then we still have 2 more practices to figure out exactly what's best for us. So. We'll take that time and we'll figure that out.
Alan, in your ongoing evaluation of Travis Gibson, what are you seeing in terms of his development and the things you like about his game?
Yeah, positive attitude, that goes a long way. I know you're probably alluding to athletic ability, but I never take the positive attitude and the work ethic for granted, and those are 2 things that give him a chance to be a really good player. He's long, and he's bought into our philosophy of how hard we play, how we run to the ball, and he's being productive. So that's always a plus. But the process he's bought into that.
When you say positive attitude, how does that show up with him?
Yeah. Early on, he may not have had that as much production, and he kept working at it. He kept coming in early. He stays late. Around here, what we want to do is preach the process and not be so product or oriented. And then so he did that, and we're starting to see the fruits of his labor.
What did you see in the game in terms of the troubles with the tackling? Why were those troubles existing?
Yeah. Not necessarily. Well, you know what? Those are things that we just have to continue to work on. You see that. Missed tackles are sometimes a product of, hey, maybe poor angles, maybe cupping the ball where you have a force player and a guy that's coming inside out. Sometimes it can be just the guy that you're hunting. The guy that you're hunting is a really good ball player, and they had some good ball players. And what we have to do is make sure that we take good angles to the football, that we hustle, that we tackle the proper way. And I think Coach may have alluded to it, tackling a little bit lower instead of hitting guys so high, and getting our feet in the ground so that if a guy makes a move that we're can adjust. So we still have some work to do.
What's your evaluation of Roquan Smith been through the first 2 games?
Still like what he's doing. I still like what he's doing. He leads our defense, or helps to lead our defense, because we have a lot of leaders out there. When he hits you, he hits you hard. He hits you tough. He processes quick, so a quick processor. So that means that when things are about to happen, he sees it in advance. And I just expect Roquan to continue to get better and better and better. But I expect everyone on the defense to do that, not just Roquan.
Do you expect to have him Sunday?
I expect to have all our guys. As far as I know, yes.
What do you see in Pierce that presents challenges here as you guys take on another ball carrier?
Good player. I mean, really, really good player. Quick, spins, can jump cut, has some explosiveness in him, good contact balance, which means that on contact when he's getting hit, that he doesn't stop his feet, he keeps going. So he's one that we're going to have our hands full again. And just like, every week, I'm not sure there are any bad running backs or bad players that are starting in the NFL.
With Jaquan Brisker, it seems like there have been a few plays where he's right there. You see the speed, you see the ability to ID the play, and just hasn't been able to make it, or he goes past the ball carrier. What's been the coaching points with him to be able to finish those plays?
Yeah, one more step. He like you said, he's there. One more step, get your cleats in the ground. There are plays where he has made the plays, and there are plays where he hadn't. There ebb and flows of ball games, and what I do expect that, and I'm not sure how many made, how many missed, but we just want to keep reducing those negative plays that he missed, and again, just like the other guys that may have missed a play, there's coaching involved, so we have to help them out, and that's why we're here. So I think we'll see a little bit better each week.
Coach, do you still feel confident in Kyler's ability to mentally handle playing both positions in and out?
I do. Yes. He's a mentally tough kid. So that's what we liked about him way back when we talked in the summertime or in last spring or this past spring, that he is a mentally tough kid. So when you have players, when you have people like that, a player too, they don't shake you. So it's we let our guys know ahead of time that we talk about the cycle of a snap, and that means that, hey, you have a play, good or bad, you evaluate it, and then you move on to the next one, and you focus in on the next one, and then the same thing. And when you have the cycle of the snap and you approach it from that philosophy, you don't dwell on one play, positive or negatively.
Yes, sir. And I don't really mean his confidence. I don't think his confidence is going to waver. I mean the mental capacity of the workload itself.
No, yeah. Same thing. The other part that we liked about him was he was super smart. And that's, he did play nickel and some inside in college, and super smart, super intelligent, instinctive. So I still feel good about that aspect of it. He'll be fine.
Alan, across the league, we've seen defenses have success having their top quarterback shadow the top wide receiver, like Darius Slay last week against Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Is there a point where you explore that with Jalen Johnson?
There may be. Usually, we like to play right and left. Down the line, we may do that. Those things are all things that we look at week to week, and that's always a possibility. We just haven't.
Is that like more matchup based, or is there something you would want to see to say, yeah, let's try this out?
Yeah, we look at the tape each week. We go in and we go, hey, is there a guy that we have to match up with? And we talk about it and what the problems arise if that person goes inside, if he's at number 2, if he's at number 3. Do they do different twist release to try to get him off of maybe a jam, and then if he's a kind of jet motion guy. So we talk about all those type of things, and then if it presents ourselves, we say, hey, this will help us win. We may do it if it benefits our guys. If it doesn't, we don't.
With Roquan, it looks like he's playing a couple different positions, like he's Sam and base, at least in some plays, maybe playing somewhere else, in nickel. What about the adjustments that he's made to this scheme? Like, how has he been able to kind of take on all those different roles?
Really, it's not. He is in nickel. He goes away from the nickel, and so that's one thing. And then in base, he's stacked to the 3 or to the close call, and so he's really not playing a lot of different spots. He's playing in the same spot. It may be different from what he did last year and the assignments that he had, but in terms of the amount of things that he has, he's in the really in the same spot. And it just, in this defense, and really in any defense, it takes a little bit to get used to, hey, the patterns of the defense, the type of things or the places that you go as you execute the defense. And so what you'll see is, as he gets more experience in it, as he gets the muscle memory, as he remembers, hey, I've had this play before, I recognize it, I did it in practice, I saw it on tape, now here it comes. You'll see that the guys are hitting their gaps faster downhill, those type of things. So you'll see each week that the guys will play faster.
Based on what he did last year to what he's doing now, is there, probably not the right phrase, like, is there less that he's expected to do? Like, is there a less complicated role for him now versus before?
I can't speak to, less complicated or more complicated than what he did last year, because I don't know everything that they told him. So I'm not sure. I just know that what we'll see each week is that he'll play faster and faster, and each week.
We know that you have a connection with Lovie Smith, and you guys, you know of him, and obviously his defensive reputation around here. What has it meant to you to be involved in this here with Chicago and trying to build it up the way that he did?
Yeah, yes, I do know Lovie. I never worked with Lovie, but I do know him, and I just have admiration for him. I have respect for him. He's one of the guys that you would say from Coach Dungy's tree. And so I kind of have a feel for what he would be, or I think I do, what he would be telling his guys in the meetings and how he wants his guys to play. And I would just say respect, admiration, love that he's a head coach in the NFL again. I think that that part of it I'm proud of, excited for him. But at the end of the day, I would say this, that he's the opponent across the field, and he's trying to come into our house and take what we have. And so with that in mind, we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that he goes away with a frown on his face.
Are there any additional challenges when you are playing against an opponent who runs the same defense? They're so familiar with the scheme that you run. Are there some different challenges or things you need to do differently in such a game?
No. No. I would say no, and then no. We're gonna take care of what we do, and we're not gonna try to trick them. We may, each week there's a little something different. There's some wrinkles in what we do, but we'd like to say, hey, it's a nameless, faceless opponent, and we're gonna look at the tape, and we're gonna make sure that we do what we're supposed to do, and we do it so well that it doesn't matter what the opponent does and what they're preaching or what they do. We're going to take care of ourselves, and when you do that, that's when you see that that you're improving.
With that in mind, Alan, how much do you as a coach see this game as kind of a test of your defense's resilience, ability to respond to coaching, respond to emphasis? In what way, even though you're not facing Aaron Rodgers, you're not facing the Packers, how do you see this as kind of defining a little bit about what you actually have in a new group?
Yeah, each week you want to see improvement, and then you want to see, how guys respond to adversity, how they, last week or 2 weeks ago, we won a ball game, and you want to see how you respond to success. And then when you lose a ball game, you want to see, hey, how you respond to a little bit of adversity. So each week there are challenges in terms of building your defense, building your culture, building your scheme. And it's part of, I know we've mentioned it over and over and over ad nauseum, but it's part of the process. And each time you have challenges, positively and negatively, you want to talk to the guys about those and tell them how we'd like them to respond so that they get better.
With that sequence that went from 2nd and 28 to them being in the end zone pretty rapidly, how do you coach through the correction portion of that with the details, and how do you also reinforce kind of the magnitude of how pivotal a sequence like that is within a game?
Yeah, you know what, it's I told our guys the great thing about them is that when there is a negative play, a touchdown or a big play, when they come over to the sideline, they're attentive, they get their water, they sit on the bench, and the eyes are up, they're not looking down, and they're looking you square in the eye, and they go, hey, Coach. And really, here's what the eye contact says to me. Coach, we gave up a play. Coaches, we're with you, we're in it. We'll go out there and we'll respond in a positive way the next snap. And so they're great about that. They're not pointing fingers. They are not fussing at each other. They're not saying, well, who made that mistake or missed a tackle or missed a fit or whatever. So that's what I love about our group is that they love to be coached. They don't mind to be corrected. They have skin like an armadillo, not a deer. And you can correct them without them getting offended. And so they're great about the growth mindset in terms of improving. They want to get better. So when those things happen, they are fantastic about the correction process and the coaching process.
Alan, you talk about nameless, faceless opponents, but when you're facing a quarterback who has 13 starts compared to Aaron Rodgers, how does that change the way you go about things? And what do you make of Davis?
Yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I think you're alluding to that. That when you have a quarterback or opponent or a guy in a position that may not be accomplished as another guy, your standard may lower, and we don't want that. We want the standard to stay high in terms of no matter who we play, we want to be on the details. We want to make sure we hustle. We want to make sure that our technique is sound and solid, and so our standard is our standard. And I know that that's the definition of a standard, right? It's here, and it doesn't waver no matter if the quarterback is first start or, hey, 15, 20 years putting on a yellow jacket at some point. The standard is the standard.
In terms of what you could do to try to, I know you say you don't want to trick people or you're not trying to, but you can show somebody like Mills something he hasn't seen before. I imagine that's not the case with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, we tried with Aaron. We tried. We didn't. Don't think we didn't try. He has seen it. He has recognized it. And yes, maybe this quarterback may not, but we approach it the same way. That hey, we have to play fast enough. We have to tackle well enough. We have to run to the ball. We have to be physical, and that's our secret sauce. Not necessarily, hey, how many plays or defenses I have on my script.
Good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I got a new shirt from March. Bears Care. Doing great. I think it's cool what they do. You know, obviously they do a nice job supporting cancer survivors. I had quite a few in my family, so it's something close to me. So they do a nice job of supporting cancer survivors and their loved ones, both physical and emotional support. So I just think that's really cool, like when we can do stuff to help other people. So I'm doing phenomenal, and I'll open it up to questions. So what you guys got?
What's your thoughts on Ebner and where he's coming along as a return guy and what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I like Eb. I think he's coming along well. You guys know he had the 30-yard return last game. He actually had a 30-yard return the first game, so he's had two 30-yard returns back-to-back So that's been nice. He's done a really nice job for us in that phase. Obviously, we're always looking to improve in that phase. I mean, he also had a chance to have one out to the 43-yard line, which would have been 38 yards. We just got to be a little bit cleaner on that one, penalty-wise. But other than that, Ebner's doing an outstanding job. I mean, all the guys are. DHC's doing an outstanding job. He had a couple tackles last game. He's our rock. He's our leader. A lot of guys doing a good job. They're doing a good job up front blocking for him.
Amir got a return, didn't he?
Yep.
What was the reason behind
Yeah, so Amir is really, he earned that rep. He did a phenomenal job in practice going against our guys and made a heck of a play against our guys. And it was a look that we thought we might have a chance to get there. And obviously Green Bay made a good play and tackled him on that one. But we're all about earning our reps, and he did a good job earning that rep. So that was his rep to have, and he tried to do the best he could on it. So
It had nothing to do with Ebner? I mean, that was.
no, nothing to do with Ebner, nothing at all. Eb's doing fantastic.
Richard, with Roquan Smith, what do your coverage guys kind of need to know heading into this game?
Yeah, they need to know that he already has a career touchdown, which they already know. We met on coverage yesterday. Quite a few of those guys have texted about how good he is and how dangerous he is. He's a really strong runner. You have to really tackle him and gang tackle him and hamstring tackle him. He's the type of guy that if you just get a hand on him, he's not going down. He's a tough football player, and we're looking forward to competing against him.
You guys rolling out a ton of rookies or second-year players. And I know special teams coaches using backups have to use younger players a lot. Are you using more younger players than maybe you have in the past, and how do you kind of manage that situation?
Yeah, that's a good question, Biggs. You obviously been watching because we have used 5 to 6 rookies at a time out there, and usually most of the time you use 1 rookie or 2 rookies. But this is a young team, and they're all learning. I think personnel guys have done a phenomenal job acquiring talent and young rookies that we can use, and those guys are stepping up to the challenge. They're getting better and better each week, and that's all we want to see is improvement. But we've got 5 or 6 of them out there at a time, almost every time.
A little tough to sleep at night with knowing, rookie makes one mistake and you could have a bad situation.
Yeah, no, I sleep good every night. I think, I look forward more to those guys making a big play for us, and those guys growing into another role. Like, obviously, they have to start their bones where they start them, but me personally and Coach Polk as well, we take great honor and great, really, it just fills our heart with joy when those guys start with us and then they become starters and then they get a chance to, play more, help the team more, contribute more, eventually make more money for the families and help the team win. So that's why we do it,
What have you learned about being a coach, coaching so many young players, knowing mistakes can happen, but also coaching them that the mistakes don't happen again? Like, what has it taught you about maybe patience, because you guys have such a young team and you get the bulk of those young players?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's taught me the greatest lesson I got in patience is when I start raising children. So you got to have a lot of patience with them. I think it helped me be a better coach because before I had kids, when I was coaching, you're fresh off becoming a player. Fresh off being a player, and you don't understand that things are going to happen, mistakes are. You want everything to be perfect, but the main thing we're just looking for them to grow each and every day. So I think they're doing a good job of that, and we push them to the limit. There's still things that we say this is acceptable. Hey, this is unacceptable, but they're just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to work. So it's awesome. We just got to keep working with them.
Back to kick returning, should we expect to see that from your special teams throughout the year, that there could be multiple guys within a game returning?
Yeah, we're going to use anyone who has a helmet on that we think gives us the best chance at that time. And as you know, I mean, you guys is duly noted, we got Khalil that can return. We got Pringle, who's had touchdown returns in his career. We got a couple different guys. So I think anybody we play, I mean, if they're going to do their homework, they know that. So it could be anybody at any time. And it's just like running back. We're going to go with the hot hand. Whoever's hot, that's who's going to get it.
Is there any challenge in working these guys in? And you've got, Velas. I know he's a DNP yesterday, but it seems like he's maybe hopefully working his way back. Is there any challenge in getting these reps for all these different guys?
Yeah, I think we did a good job, but it's always a challenge when you got a bunch of them. But we did a really good job, I felt like, in the offseason and during training camp, rotating them. But in a game, you're probably not going to get, but a handful of reps, And especially the way our defense is playing, a couple of times we haven't gotten many kickoff returns, and we prefer it that way, to be honest.
You had a close call on one of those punts. What was your diagnosis of what happened there?
On which one?
I think it was in the second half. There's one punt I feel like where they got pressure, came close.
Us punting the ball, or when we got pressure?
Yeah, no, when they got pressure on you.
Okay, yeah. So both happened. We got pressure on them. They got pressure on us. I'll answer your first question. The one where they got pressure on, just technique. Just technique had to be a little bit better on that. What I loved about that, though, Trent hit a 57-yard ball on that one. And another young kid, like you guys talked about, we punted that ball to the right. You're talking about the pressure on the left. So we punted away from the pressure on that one. It was a 57-yard ball. It was an outstanding ball on our sideline, and Josh Blackwell was in a one-on-one. He made the tackle for a 0-yard gain, so it's a 57 all-net punt. I mean, anything over 50 yards all-net is phenomenal. So, again, two young kids right there, Trent Gill and Blackwell, and we just got to keep getting them better. That's a good question. The other one we just slipped on when we got pressure. I don't know if you saw that one. At the end, yeah, when Matt came free.
Slipped.
Yeah. Had he not slipped, we might be talking about something else.